Hi everyone, welcome to my review of American Reunion in 2012, and it's directed by John Hurwitz and Hayden Schlossberg. American Reunion is of course the final or the latest one in the the actual American Pie series. Of course, I don't count the other ones as spin-offs. I won't be reviewing them, I don't think. But yes, of course, I reviewed the first three, and of course, a recap would be the first one. I thought was very good, full of heart. Charming film with most of the characters I really liked, at times loved, and I just thought it was a really good film. A second one, bit of a disappointment, but still a decent film. And The Wedding, was better than two, but still didn't quite reach that level of the first one. Now, of course, this is 9 years later after American Wedding, and of course, it brings back some of the characters that weren't in three, and it just I think. I've only seen this. I've seen it less than the other ones, basically, and I hadn't seen it for a few years, and rewatched it today, and it's a lot better than I remembered. I already really liked it, but this time, I think I was just quite shocked at how good this was. Previously I thought the first one was probably the best after this rewatching this. But now I think I've decided American Reunion is probably the best. Actually, without a doubt, the best American Pie film. I absolutely loved it, and it's just what two done. What it kind of does is, of course, the reunion. Many years later, they come back and they have this reunion, and of course, what it does is, of course, it brings the stuff they kind of done with two. They attempted to do looking back to past times. It's much more warranted here, and it's done even better, and it also takes some stuff from The Wedding, kind of the way it deals with relationships, and stuff, and it kind of explores Michelle's and Jim's, kind of home life and their kind of family struggle, and as well it kind of deals with, them in jobs, and stuff, Stifler and everyone, and I think that this does really most things right, and what it does is just something that the other American Pies didn't quite reach, how good this film is. Of course, the characters of Oz and Heather are back, which is great, because really Oz is at times my favourite character in the series. And that romance that was in the first with them two was one of the best things about it, and I think that was very, it was absent in two and three, especially, of course, three they weren't even in it, and it was missing, because I think that's the most compelling out of all the romances and relationships, and very meaningful, and in the first one, and in this one, it's even better, and really what they do, they wrap up everything in this film so well. All the kind of storylines that went on in the first three come together here just perfectly for the times. I think it's just wonderful. I think everyone as well, they're at their best in terms of acting. Oz, especially the character of Oz. Jason Biggs as well, I think he's great in this film. I think he's better than he was in the first. I think he wasn't quite as compelling in 2 and 3. And I think that's to do with the direction and writing, of course. But this one, I think the director's done a great job in bringing out all the characters and, kind of understanding what these characters are and should be. And the dynamics as well, I think, work better, the actual group. It's just much more compelling. The comedy in this film, because of course at heart it is what most people would call it, a comedy, and I think the comedy is the best in the series. It's definitely the best, and I think there's a character, Mena, who's kind of with Oz throughout most of the film. She's one of the only ones I would really say is a bit annoying. Different characters throughout the film, and the comedy with her sometimes doesn't quite work as well as it should. I'd definitely say that. But really, the rest of the comedy in the film works in such a way. It's just great. It never goes really, apart from her character, too over the top, and it's very grounded. The writing in this film is just amazing. I feel, and of course, it develops the different characters, but it also has some great sequences of comedy. And it's just stunning. I absolutely loved it. The scenes where the guys are trying to get their own back on these younger guys, on the beach. That scene was just hilarious. It could have been done bad, you know, with some of the stuff that goes on there, poor taste, but it wasn't. You know, all these characters in this film, I think they get their own the perfect amount of screen time. I think Kevin in the third one, as if you've seen my review, I said that he was a bit of a background character. I feel, and you know, his stuff was always my least favorite. But even in this film, I think they managed to make his stuff compelling. And he had, you know, just as much screen time as, you know, Stifler, Finch, and as well they all have different things going on, development throughout the film, and you know, things slowly unravel, you know, about what they've kind of done for the last few years and stuff, and since we last saw them, and I think that was really, really well told, just the way it unfolds, and you know, I think the scenes where Stifler's at his job and everything with that boss, so good, so funny, and it's very, very satisfying the way that ends. You know, Finch is kind of a lot revealed that, you know, you didn't quite know, and he soon becomes clear what's happened with him, and you know, it's just everything, all the storylines of mainly these five guys and everyone involved in them. It's just really just so well balanced, I think, and as well, you've got some really, really meaningful moments, I think, with Jim's dad, of course, Eugene Levy. One of the best things about this whole series is Eugene Levy. He's just so good, and you know, I feel that the kind of father-son stuff that goes on there is very meaningful. If you've not seen this film, you don't know a lot of stuff. I won't ruin it, but there's actually a thing I forgot that actually I completely forgot when rewatching this that actually happened between 3 and 4, and the way that plays out and the way that's revealed is really, really emotional. Actually, very touching stuff. Eugene Levy just pulls it off so well. You know, he kind of got the emotional side to it, and of course, he is so funny in this film. And some stuff, you know, he gets drunk and everything in this film, and that, you know, could have been done badly. I think that could have ruined his character, but managed to keep it at bay, and because he's so good, you know, at acting, he managed to you know, not go over the top. You know, because that could have turned out really, really bad. Because Jim's dad was always the one that's very, very serious at times and grounded. And if they had him, you know, pissing about when he's getting drunk, that could have been really bad. But luckily, they pulled it off. Everyone involved, and just some of the situations that happens with that, you know, is great. And yeah, I think that they made him, gave him an actual main storyline in this film. In the other ones, he was great when he's in it, but you know, it was kind of still a subplot that he was given in all of them. And you know, there was only flourishes that appeared, but in this one, he's given a lot of screen time and stuff, an actual arc where he changes, just like Jim does. Because you know, in the others, he was there to kind of, as a you could say, the foil character in the other ones, which is fine. But you know, in this, he's just given more development and a more meaningful plot. And you know, I just think that what this film does the best actually is just the ensemble, you know, qualities. It balances out all of these characters, and they're part of an ensemble, you know, and it does it with such ease. And I think as well, just the way that it has this emotional resonance for most of the film, very nostalgic. I think the second one obviously tried to do that, and it did work at times. It added something to the film, but you know, it was only 1 or 2 years since the one, you know, before that was meant to be. So, you know, there's only so far I can go looking back to when this is looking back, you know, a decade or so to the first one, and I think it's just much more meaningful. The way that they have come many, many years, you know, and it just, I think the way it's pulled off is just so well done. It's great. I would definitely call it a great film, actually, this one. You know, I thought the first one was very good. I think this one is great. I think the acting is just better in every way from everyone involved. You know, all the new characters, really, apart from Mia. And maybe the guy that is with, you know, Cara, I think it was, you know, the woman that Jim used to babysit, it becomes clear. You know, her boyfriend, he's not great, I think, especially at the beginning. But, you know, his storyline wraps up really nicely. It's just, he was a bit of, you know, a weak character compared to everyone else. Him and Mia are the ones that I would con. You know, but the rest of the newcomers I think are great. You know, and it just the way it looks back to the past, the way it explores, you know, nostalgia, it's just wonderful actually, and it's just so well written comedy moments as well. It never goes overboard, and it's perfectly paced, and it's really really meaningful character development that I think is just higher than the rest of them done, even the first one. And it eliminates the problems I had with the first actually. I had a couple of things, not that it bothered me too much, but they are gone in this, and that is the the cheesiness of it. And I do love cheesy films at times, but the first one, at times a bit too much. I wouldn't say it was perfect in that sense, but this one kind of eliminated that, and it still manages to have this charm, without being full on cheese, if you know what I mean. It still has the heart, and I think that actually the heart's the strongest in this one, and I think as well it's just better directed, better shot than the previous ones, and yeah, I just think it just from the beginning till the end, it just the narrative is just much better. I love the way it explores the home life of Jim and Michelle, and of course they've got a kid, and I loved all that. It's great, very very nice, touching stuff, and it's just really really nice to see how things turned out there. And of course it explores the struggles and stuff, and there's the character of Cara gets in the way and everything, and it's really compelling in that sense. But the way it ends is it's just wonderful, and I loved. There's a certain thing in this film that I thought, would be interesting. I thought if this ever happened, and it does happen with, Jim's dad and someone else, which I won't ruin. Really, really great the way that's done. And I just think overall this film is for me the best American Pie film. On a rewatch, it really, really is better than I remembered. And very underrated film. This has got I think 40 something on Rotten Tomatoes, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the lowest out of all four. And that's weird because I would have thought it would have decent ratings. This one, and two especially is, I thought that would have been the weakest in terms of rating, but it turns out this one is in areas. But yes, it for me it's the best American Pie film, and I would definitely call this great. I think I'll give this film a 94%, and that is extremely high for me. I think it's a great comedy. I think it's a great drama. These characters that are really at times great in the first one in particular are just developed even further in this one, given more meaningful plots, and just the way it comes together at the end, really amazing. You've got some really really warm stuff here, very meaningful, especially with the Jim's dad kind of stuff, and all these characters that even Michelle and everyone that I wasn't too keen on at times in the other ones are all just so good in this one. I think even Vicky is good in this one. Kevin's stuff that happens, really really interesting stuff. So it kind of eliminates a lot of the problems I had with the other ones, and it just goes further. It just develops the characters more. It's more of a confident comedy. There's the great sequences, but overall it never goes too far. For the most part, I think it doesn't. The reasons why I didn't give it a higher score, as I've said, there's a couple of flaws, and just doesn't get there. It's not masterful, throughout. But it is definitely a great film with some flaws here and there. But really, I'd say this, definitely a great film. I absolutely love it, and if you've not seen it and you worry about how they would, pull this off, don't be afraid, because it really is something that is so much heart and care has been put into it, and really wrapped up in all the best ways that could have happened. Even the credits, the care that's put into that, the way that you see the pictures and stuff from the past films, it's just amazing. That's one of the main themes of this film is, of course, nostalgia, and just growing up and everything, and just the way it explores nostalgia in this film is really stunning. I loved it, and truly warranted this time, as two, wasn't overall fully warranted to do that. But yes, I think, as I've said, the best American Pie film for me, and highly recommend it. It's a great film, definitely. So yeah, thanks for watching my review of American Reunion.